I hadn't taken pre-workouts until I came to America, and then I realized it was, everyone's like, oh, you take pre-workout, and I thought, you don't need it. Then I started taking these kind of crazy little spoonfuls that just, they were great if you was going out all night, but they weren't really good for anything else because they just destroyed your sleep. But when I took this, Jim gave it to me, explained everything, and I kind of almost felt as though, that's not really giving me that buzz, because I kind of expected this buzz. But I took how it was explained, and then I realized there was a lot of other reasons why you would take a pre-workout outside of just the buzz. So I guess, in terms of what should be in a good pre-workout, then you mentioned 4 or 5 things. I don't know what any of them are, but why is it important to have this, like you said, citrulline, creatine, beta-alanine? What are they, and why is it important for that to be in a pre-workout outside of just the caffeine effect that kind of wakes you up a little bit?
Because those are essentially amino acids, and the data on those amino acids at certain doses show that they will increase strength, energy, and endurance. That's a nutrient. Stimulants like even caffeine. Caffeine it's in our pre-workout, but it's not in there for the energy boost. Caffeine actually, as Jim, and again, everything I'm talking about, these ingredients, is nothing that is of my own opinion that I'm the smart. This is all coming from Jim and just my many 20 years now working with the guy. So caffeine, Jim put that in there for its strength benefits. If you look at the data, the research, there's a lot of benefits. Caffeine is the most studied supplement, I think, on the face of the planet. It's been around forever, right? And so there's so much data and research that's good about it. But, you don't want to have too much in there because some people are sensitive to it. You don't have too little because then there's no benefit in it. So Jim has always been working with different supplements to try and see what effect is not only just in the lab, but what it actually does in the gym. I didn't take you to my office in there, but if you look at the process that we go through, that we actually have gone through with this new version of a pre-workout that Jim's finally going to unveil here in the next couple of weeks, there were 50 different versions, because and the versions from one to the next could just be as little as this was at 2 grams and this was at 3 grams. But he just wanted to see exactly what the difference would be based on not just the data, but the actual practical application in the gym. Those products that are out there that are just, you take it and you're wired, if you want that, that's fine. But classify them correctly. Don't put them into a pre-workout that some 18, 19-year-old kid is going to take because he's got 20 or 30 bucks in his pocket, and he take that before he goes to work out, and next thing you know, he's getting heart palpitations, right? Like,
some of them you do.
Understand what it is that you're taking, because if you want that feeling, fine. But stand up about it. That is what we talked about, is those neuro products. Now, huperzine is in there, is in our pre-workout, but not for at the dose and all that. Like there's benefits to certain products, but then doses matter too. And so when doses of certain ingredients are mixed with other ingredients, there's a synergy that happens. And when you don't understand that as a formulator and as a brand owner, it can get very difficult, because now you're facing consequences based on your inability to put something in the marketplace that not only holds true to the promises that it gives to the consumer, but that holds up to where they aren't going to have a negative, a benefit or a negative reaction from it. So it's a very thorough process, and I'm super fortunate to have Jim be the guy to where I don't have to worry about that. That's not my bag of tea. That's not my area of expertise. So with him, he goes through that. And those standards I mentioned when we were trying to have back in the day with Schwarzenegger and all that, doing that group, we actually standardize it within our own organization to where there's a process that Jim goes through. It's called the 5 pillars of supplementation. I wish every single brand in the industry would do. But we use that as kind of the baseline, or Jim does, when it comes to the formulation process. And so he always looks at, pillar number 1 is the ingredients. We got a protein. What ingredients do we want to use? Because there are certain types of protein out there, and to the consumers who are listening, types of protein matter. You got, whey protein concentrate, you got whey protein isolate, you got casein protein, egg white protein, hemp protein, right? All these different types of protein, and it matters based on what your promise is to the consumer. The dose matters. So the second one is like, okay, the second one is what form of protein are you going to use? So you have the ingredient, protein, got it. The form, are we using whey protein isolate? Are we using whey protein concentrate, which we don't use? And then the dose, how much protein? Are we putting 20 grams? Are we putting 24 grams? What does the data and the research show? How much of that ingredient do you take to get the benefit from it? And then from there, it's like, okay, well, let's look at the synergy, right? Should that protein be combined with amino acids? Should it not? What does it do when that ingredient's combined with other things? How do they work together? And then the last one is the timing. What's the best time to take the protein? Those are all things that consumers should know and should be aware of, because that's why they're taking supplements in the first place. And many brands, most brands, they just kind of say, I heard this is good. I mean, I heard that is good. And they just put something together and then they go get a flavor behind it and say, hey, we're coming out with our Snickerdoodle flavor, take it tastes great. Okay, awesome. But that's, once again, opening the door to where you're not validating and standardizing products to where they actually do something. So I always say we're the end of the rainbow brand, because once you find us, you're not going to take anything else.
Yeah. So on this pre-workout then, one of the things that I heard Jim talk about was creatine and the brain benefits. And it made me think, and I only found out about this when I started researching this podcast, because as soon as I had that, I used to go out for a run and go for a workout, and I would just have these like incredible ideas, and I'd be writing things down and I'd be leaving messages. And whenever I have, the reason I'm addicted to this stuff is because at the end of the day, or whenever I'm going to work out, if I've got stuff I need to figure out for my business, I know that as well as a workout, I'll just have this brain workout.
Right.
I'll just figure some amazing stuff out. So tell me about that. Like, it sounds as from what he was saying is creatine helps with, like, there's brain benefits, depression, stress, and also it seems to stimulate some things in the mind. So explain a little bit about that and kind of what effect I'm getting outside of just a great pump.
Yeah, I mean, look, the science and the formulation, I'll leave all that to Jim to explain. I mean, he could tell you all about why, that is happening. I can tell you about it from a consumer standpoint. That's the world that I live in. And so pre-gym, for everybody who is within an arm's reach distance of me, is essentially like putting their pants on or brushing their teeth every single morning. Everybody who works here in the organization, they take it every day regardless if they work out or not. My wife, who you met, running in the gym there, same thing. It's like, we don't know what it's like not to take that product for the benefits of what you just described from a consumer standpoint. Jim will tell you that the data and the research on the ingredients show performance benefits when you train to take that product because of the ingredients, right? So it is a nutrient that does do things and does benefit the body while you're training, because when you're training, certain things happen when you train, when you work out. We just signed Milos Sarshev, and he explained it to me. He goes, Mike, you got 6 to 7 liters of blood in your body when you work out. 60% of that blood is in the muscles, right? So when that happens, when your body is in that state of resistance training, those nutrients are going to do different things when you're training. But because they're nutrients, they're going to do different things from when you're not training. And this is an all-day supplement. On the days that I even, if I have a meeting or something like that, I'm sipping on my pre-gym before I walk into the meeting for the same purposes. But that's where ingredients, as you mentioned that's where ingredients like huperzine and taurine and alpha-GPC, those are the ingredients that will actually have those cognitive benefits too, that clarity. And when you think about training, there's benefits of having that too, that mind-to-muscle connection.
So could you use it in sports like martial arts, jiu-jitsu,
absolutely,
where you got to...
Absolutely, all those things. And that's the difference between having a product to where you just feel something and you market that feeling versus having something that actually does something.